Hi guys, Dave here for Southern Land Solo. Thanks for tuning in. The Shemag. Is the Shemag fit into our category of budget bushcraft, budget survival? This is my one here. Let's take a look. Basically what a Shemag is, it's a big hunk of 100% cotton, about 40 to 42 inches square, about 100 to 110 centimeters, and very strong, very robust piece of cotton. Very thin but woven nicely. And around the edges, where it would unravel, the threads have been tied together into little knots like that. And here in New Zealand, about $20 for a Shemag. They come in a variety of different colors: blues, reds, checkered patterns, tans, khakis, blacks, all different kinds of colors. The reason why a lot of people carry them is because of the versatility. It's a very versatile item. When you're traveling, this helps regulate the heat and the cold. And when you're traveling as well, it can be used as a butt pack. It can put across your shoulder. Just tie it down here and it's like a shoulder belt. You can have your knife on there, you can have your pouches on there, you can have your water bottle on there. It can be made into a makeshift haversack as well. Lots of different uses. I've got an old cut up one here. Let's see if you can see that. That's it right there. And it's my trouser belt. And when you get into camp, tons and tons of uses, just a few of them. You can string it up between two trees like this, and you can make it into a shelf. Use it as a towel to dry your dishes, then wash it in the creek, and then use it as a towel on yourself. You can also use it for tinder. You could also use it for sleeping, which I'll show you in a minute. So a lot of uses just from this one item. So for 20 bucks, pretty good deal, and I think it definitely fits into the category. So let's see what else we can use it for. Regulating heat and cold. Now, this is 100% cotton. So I can understand this in hot weather, because we know cotton draws the heat away from the body, helps keep you cool. As well, what you can do to help it assist in that is dip it in a creek on a real hot day, then wrap it around your head, and the evaporation will draw even more heat away from your body, cooling you down even more. But because of the nature of how that cotton works in that particular aspect, how does this work to keep us warm? If this gets damp, and we're traveling along, we're wearing it, and we start to sweat, and it gets damp, in a cold environment, doesn't that cool us down more? Yes, it really can. To me, how I would describe it is it's a game of awareness. You've got to be aware that, yeah, okay, I'm sweating now, and I use this. I had this over my head. This was my head covering, and I had this over my head, and I used it to dry the sweat. Rather than have the sweat sitting on my head, I used the Shemag to dry it off. And I made sure I wasn't sweating too much. I didn't overexert myself. This works quite well, I think, in a cold environment to help keep you warm if it's a dry cold. So when this starts getting damp, it's not too bad, but if it starts getting wet, then it's going to start chilling you if it's next to the skin. Let's set it up for the cold environment. We use it as a head covering, and first thing we do is put it into a triangle shape. Hard to do here. I'm surrounded by trees and haven't got that much angle on the camera. So we've got it in a triangle shape. Just put it on our head, just like Granny's scarf. Hang it down the back. There we go. Now, as I said before, there's 100 different ways to tie these things and to use them as head coverings. People have their own favorite way. This is mine. I've learned this from a couple of different YouTube channels, and it works very well for me. So find your own, which one works for you. Some people have these at one side slightly higher. I have them both the same. Take the right side, and I try to keep it spread out like that. I don't want it all scrunched up. Try to keep it spread out. Just hook it there, and hopefully you can still hear me. Pull it across the nose and the mouth. Take the other side. Try and keep it spread out again. And that locks it in place. I don't put it under the chin, pull it straight across the nose and the mouth again. and I just tie it at the back. Just tied at the back with 2 thumb knots. You can see how I keep it lower on the head. If I tie it up high on the head, it works its way down. Then it starts all coming loose in that, which I don't want. So I put it down there low at the start. And basically this is it. So for cold weather, this is what I got. You get a good scarf, a little bit of neck protection there. Down the back, there's a lot of protection over your C-spine. You lose a lot of heat through your spine. And I got 2 layers of fabric over my head. Pull it down there. I tend to keep it loose, not really tight around here, because that just helps with air pockets. When you have it stretched, it seems like the hot air can dissipate quickly through it and the breeze can get in quicker. So I've got 2 layers of fabric here, acting as a bit of a wind block or more of a breeze block, helping hold the heat in. Remember, we're talking about dry cold, so I don't want to get too wet in here. A bit of a damp environment today, but as long as I'm not getting wet, and as long as it's not getting rained on, then it should work quite well. And you know, already I can feel it warming up a little bit, so it's helping hold my body heat in. Not as good as wool, well, nowhere near as good as wool, of course, but it's still a good functional garment. You just got to use it within its limitations. And again, being aware, you know, oh, I'm starting to sweat a lot, oh, this thing's starting to get wet, I'm starting to get chilled. Okay, I'll use it as a towel, dry myself off, maybe slow down my pace, maybe take a rest, I want to stop the sweating, or just put on another item, like another item of headdress, put this over the top of it. I've got a bit of a peak there, you know, get a bit of sun, still got a bit of a peak. I've got 2 layers of fabric here, got this one. Being this is the bottom layer, there's nothing really holding it, it always wants to flop around, so I always pull the outer layer over it, and that locks it in place. Locks it in place quite nicely like that. Gets too hot, or my breath starts to stink a bit, I just pull that out, pull that down like that. If I want a scarf, no prob, just pull it down like that. Really, really awesome neck scarf. Lots of layers of fabric there. Nice and high at the back. Pretty good. And when I want to get warm again, up she comes. You just got to get the adjustment right on it. Pull that up, and up she comes as well. Pretty good. Yeah, a bit too hot with the 2 layers there, so just put that 1 layer down and pull the outer layer up. Cool. So in a cold environment, yeah, it's helped keeping me warm. It's functioning quite well. And the thing with it is, you know, it's a big square piece of fabric and we're trying to turn it into a headdress. So it means, like you saw, I was fiddling around with it a little bit, and as you're walking along it's going to move, it's going to adjust, it's going to loosen up. So here and there you just got to tighten it up and tweak it a little bit. And you know, each time you tie it, it might be a little bit different each time. You just get used to how these things operate, and then you function around that. But again, staying aware of the moisture level from the environment and from ourselves, because that's what's going to affect the function of this. So that's it in or how it works for me, I should say. In a cold environment. In a hot environment, it's even easier.